God bless Eagly, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Peacemaker right now.
I was so sad when I tried to watch it yesterday and realized it was on HBO Max.
I didn't know you didn't have HBO Max.
I only get it when like there are strange
Specials?
things like Game of Thrones, really. And then I come to your house and watch things like Dune. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out so you can come watch it or something. Because I could watch that whole thing again, probably.
Taylor would be like, why is Jonathan in our living room at 3 a.m.? Well, he's binge watching Peacemaker.
Speaking about great IPs, intellectual properties, which we've talked a lot about lately, which some people apparently don't care about, or the rights of. Which
There are other issues.
No.
Yeah.
We don't care about thievery. Speaking of that, before I get into it, I have this song called Satisfaction. I know it was written by the Rolling Stones, but I'm going to rewrite it slightly, and I'm going to market it to everything, and I'm going to get paid for it. Is that cool?
Hell yeah, brother.
Anyway, I'm moving on. So, intellectual property such as boutique guitar makers and some of these the small shops. Boutique makes it sound so fancy.
It does.
If you actually knew these people, you'd realize how not boutique they are. There's dudes that build guitars. Right?
It's true. I feel like boutique, I should like go in, sit on a little couch, and they should like fit me.
Like a big open white room.
Not that I've ever been allowed in a place like that, but
No.
You know.
I've been in one of those once when my sister was getting her wedding dress. I can't tell the story because it goes completely inappropriate. I'll do it another time. Yeah,
like the end of this video.
I can't do it on YouTube. No, it shows
Podcast.
a side of me we don't need to
Podcast.
show.
Listen to the podcast.
That's a podcaster.
By the way, go watch our podcast, or not.
Listen
to it.
It's actually really fun.
I feel like it is.
And we have, and a side note too, we have Carlos Lopez of Castadosa Guitars is coming soon. If you're watching this video in the future, he's already been here. But he's coming April 1st, April Fool's, next week. So she'll be here for the whole weekend, and we're going to be doing a live Q&A on the interwebs, so just stay tuned for announcements on that further. Like all that stuff, and then we're going to have them just do a live event with us on Saturday night as well. We're going to play some Baritones.
Ooh.
So you and I are going to play some, I think.
Of course we are.
Together, Baritones.
Weird.
Anyway, boutique makers and rock stars and things that play them.
Ooh.
It's kind of an interesting idea, right?
Things that play.
Things, because rock stars are things. Whenever I think of rock stars that are things, I think of Johnny Depp, because he's sort of both.
He is kind of both. He's all things to all people.
But there's a bunch of cool guitars. Like one of the first ones that pops on my mind is, I think, a Crooks.
Okay.
With Brad Paisley.
Brad Paisley likes his Crooks.
And he pretty much made that line, it seems like, as far as like the world recognition of it.
I think so.
And if you want a bender, like of a certain level, that's where you go. Is there anybody else?
Well, it's funny because Crook doesn't put the bender in, right? It's like McVeigh puts the bender in.
I just foot in my mouth. I just always think of the benders, though.
But, well, you do, because you think Brad Paisley, right? That's his thing. So he has Crook make the Telecasters. It's funny to me because, like, Brad Paisley loves Fender so much, right?
Right.
And then, Crook's whole thing is he puts these sort of essentially telly
like
phones
Paisley
together.
tellers,
Yeah. But yeah, and then I think another dude puts the benders in, but...
It's kind of like it's like a little bard's tale of guitars until it ends up in Brad's hands.
I will say, I think because you and I have talked about before how there's this legacy of looking down and seeing Fender or Gibson on your headstock. So when you have a guy like Brad Paisley, who all these people idolize, because he's one of those guitar players, there's a few guitar players that people get into them and they're like super into them and right. But it's like Brad Paisley, like SRV is another guy that you find like devotees that they just study, like Steve Ray Vaughan, they just study Brad Paisley.
I can't wait for Chandler to meet Brad one day and then they fall in love.
It could happen. I feel like he's in his Dwight Yoakam phase,
which is way cooler in my opinion, because I think Dwight Yoakam.
Anderson,
I remember sort of briefly saying hello to Dwight Yoakam at one of the NAMs one year. He was in the Martin booth when there was a Dwight. It's like 2016 or 17. I don't remember which year it was. But he's just a cool guy.
He does seem like he'd be cool.
Just his acting is great, from Sling Blade to Goliath, and then just his music's still amazing.
Yes.
And it is like Guitars and Cadillacs. You can't. There's probably not a cooler song.
Little riff. Fast as You is pretty badass.
There's any of his stuff. It makes country cool though.
It really does.
No offense if you're like country.
It's that weird sort of like Bakersfield. It's not exactly like chicken picking stuff like Brad Paisley. But anyways, what I was saying is I think that Brad Paisley made that little headstock, even though I think it's weird looking, iconic. Like if you look down now, there's a legacy to it.
Yeah.
It kind of the same way as if you look down to see Fender there.
Echopark's another one that I think has a plethora of rock stars that play it.
Well, I mean, there's
weird.
Joe Perry, right? You got
Brad Whitford has some.
Brad Whitford.
There's God, I always forget the guy's name. Well, you got JD Simo, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's amazing. You got Bones Owens.
Does Johnny Depp have?
Johnny Depp has but there's I always go
Jackson
blank.
Brown.
Thank you. I mean, running on empty.
He's playing them too. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorite songs in the whole world. By the way.
And I always forget
song.
that it's Jackson Brown. Like I don't connect that song to Jackson Brown for some reason.
So good.
Like I think of all of his other sort of acoustic-y stuff, and then there's that is one of those great classic
If you've
songs.
not seen the last episode of Supernatural,
I've never seen the first episode of Supernatural.
there's like 97 seasons,
I'm not going to see any of it.
and I might have shed a tear
When
on
they're
the
playing
last
that
episode
song?
when Dean and Sam, they're kind of like in heaven. Song happens. You're seeing their life in their cool little car.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Running on it. 6
Could have
feet,
been Echopark. It's not.
6 Feet Under had a great ending too. That show on HBO. And I think John, we've talked about it before, but I think we're gonna watch the last episode of Lost together because I've never seen episode 1 of Lost, and everyone's obsessed with this show. I just want to watch the last episode and comment on it.
Let's
as
do
I watch
it. Let's do
Have
it.
you ever watched it?
I watched like some and then I got tired. I was
Okay,
just like,
I've
eh.
never seen it. I remember people were obsessed.
But I
with
don't know how it
shows.
ended.
I have no idea. I don't really care. I just think it'd just be fun to do.
Okay, we're gonna do that. Then. Let's do it.
No, but yeah, he has just. It says rock stars like love his stuff
Why do you think that is?
because rock stars are really good at guitar.
No.
I think
Some
a
of
lot of times.
Not all of them.
I hate truth. I don't like it. I ignore it as much as possible.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
I think it's like the real player guys. A lot of players love his
That's
stuff.
right.
Because I had the amp that Jackson Brown has. I had it. It's literally sitting right here for a bit, and I was
Should have kept it.
I wanted to keep it. I didn't know I could.
Send that in.
keep
Oh,
it.
we did send it. We sent it 3 weeks ago. Sorry.
I know. I gave her like, hey, can you send that back? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And then he's like, yeah, Jackson took it. I'm like, I didn't know I could have had that. I would have bought it. But what? I'm sort of glad that Jackson has it though, because he makes much better use of it than sitting in the studio,
It's probably true.
being played by me to me, and me alone, and Jonathan to Jonathan, and Jonathan alone. No, I think so I think that's a fascinating one right there.
It is.
No, there's Nags as well, right?
Nags.
Nags is sort
I
of
feel
out
like
there.
Nags for a while, a lot of they weren't necessarily like who you'd think of as rock stars, but it's the guys who were behind, especially
Yes.
country artists who are sort of like rock stars.
Kind of like in that PRS world.
Yep, yep.
You know, but not of that massive build.
My buddy Ben Miller was playing one. There's a guy named Tyler Tomlinson who plays a bunch of Nags, who plays for some pretty big artists. These are all folks that I sort of know in Nashville. But there's a guy, what's the kid who plays such good, he calls it like blues metal, and I'm blanking on his name.
I don't know right now.
My friend Tim Hargrove plays bass for him sometimes, who is also a Nags artist. And I cannot think of the dude's name. But he's a stupid good player. I'll think of it before
And
that.
there's also the Veritas and the Elliott guitars, right? That are sort of in the Christian world.
To me, Veritas lives in that praise and worship Christian world.
It's just neat to see that there's like a line that sort of
Right.
because like D'Angelico was there for a bit, Gretsch was there for a minute.
Right. To Elliott,
stays.
like, what's his name? Ollie Freed plays the Elliott sometimes. And the guys who play for Sheryl Crow, which he does. But, you know, he used to play for the Black Crowes. And his own record, which was called It's Cry of Love. And there's a song called Highway Jones that is one of my, like, what a friggin' amazing
That's
tone
cool.
and riff. You should go watch that if you have, or listen to it if you've never listened to them. But yeah, so there's all sorts of boutique makers.
Nash is one of the big ones.
I feel like that's one of the undercover ones.
The secret ninja one.
Because
Yeah, tell us why.
back in the day, you know, you would get the blank headstock from a Nash. It looks just like a Fender headstock. And I think guys would put the water slide decal on there, you know. So I know for a fact at one point, like Mike Campbell was playing, one of the Telecasters he was playing a ton live was actually a Nash. I think, what would we say, Keith Urban?
Noel Gallagher.
Yeah,
plays a lot of
yeah.
Nashes.
So, you know.
I think he actually puts Nash on his because he's not trying to fool anybody.
Now I think
Noel
they do, right? Because now the Nashes, this was forever ago. Now the Nashes say Nash on there, and they have the little star things. I'm a fan of the Nashes. I've owned a couple.
You have
or
them.
three,
They're
you
great
know.
guitars. There's Novo's kind of coming up a bit.
I feel like Novo is inching in there because a lot of that lives in that sort of like indie kind of world, or like alt country maybe, or you know.
Danocaster is one that sort of
Danocaster.
circulates in there. The one that I see that's sort of The newest one that already has Rockstars playing it is Castadosa.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. The fact that you've got guys from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, already getting... This guitar company is old within a few months. A few months old.
I think doing something like a baritone, the way he's doing, that he kicked it off with that. The baritone is such a cool thing and like a hot thing right now. And I think it's one of the ways that people are sort of like pushing the boundaries a little bit, right? Because we talk about, you know, guitar has changed and the way people use it to make music now. Like it's there, but people are doing different things with it. And we're seeing all like the slide stuff with like aero posing and dudes like that. Yep. So I think that is trickling into mainstream rock stardom. And I think that was a really cool way to do it. Because they don't have to give up their Les Paul or their whatever they're playing. Now they just have this badass baritone thing they're playing too.
Well, even that young cat, like that's, I guess he's an Echopark endorsee, Zach Person. He also is a Gibson like endorsee, I think too. And that's how that's cool. It's like you don't have to like, well, if you're this, you can't be this. It's like, man, you play the guitar that fits the...
Dual citizen. Do you think we see that more? Because like in the past,
I think
you would associate a rock star with like a certain guitar, right? And now... I feel like because everybody's influenced by all those things, they want Gibson sounds, they want Fender sounds, they want blah blah.
And the sounds are different, and I think it's okay now. You're not. I mean,
you're not as pigeonholed a little bit.
And we live in a strange world where we all want these strange things more and more.
That's part of it. Yeah.
This is part of the problem with that. Yeah. But no, that's it's kind of neat. Like go out there, like I don't peek my head outside the comfort zone of like the big brands I know and love usually, but every once in a while I do, and I'm like, wow, there's something over there I like. See that one over there? That's really cool. And like, I'm going to play that. And like, I've sort of fallen in love with some of these, like the Castadosa baritones. I never had an interest in baritone ever.
No.
Ever.
Right.
It's just not something I'd be like, oh, that's what I want. And then like the Echopark's just sort of, I was smitten with the neck on that thing and then the sound out of the pickups and just I have one on my couch right now.
What's really funny is when I met you, you were like, Fender, Gibson,
Fender,
Martin, Taylor, and you were like, yeah, I don't do boutique stuff.
No, I hate them. I was like, no. I was like, 100%. No.
I'm just not into it. It's not my thing. And then the amps were the gateway drug for you.
Yeah, C-Rock was a gateway.
You got into the boutique amps.
And
then you were like, have you guys seen Echopark?
Check out this. We're going to be carrying these now soon or whatever or something.
And then the first one shows up and Baxter's like, yeah, I'm just gonna put that in the bag.
Well, that was the weird one. That was like sort of like for, like that was the prototype one that it's gone back to Gabriel. Like it's like a Swiss cheese or something. There's holes in it and stuff at this point. Now Zach's got it somewhere out in Texas. He started.
That was a great guitar though.
It's a great guitar. He changed the pick, but we have a whole bunch of those. Yep. That style. That's what I fell in love with. That big chunky neck and
the neck is
it's magical. Like because like we do this channel. We love talking. We love meeting everybody out there. And we make mistakes sometimes along the way too. Like we talk off the cuff. This is not scripted. And some of our videos we're very...
What?
I know. Surprisingly not. We're not reading a teleprompter.
You guys.
No, it's the idea. Is like you're in the shop with us right now. This is what we do. Literally, once the camera stops, we continue this in the front of the shop and just blather at each other.
And we started it before hours.
We were blathering. Yeah, we were for hours blathering, figuring out what we're going to talk about. And then Sean's going to be shooting some videos later. Like it's
true.
He'll be out there tomorrow morning. But no, it's and our ideas change and mold as we go, and like mine have too. Like I was a Fender Gibson diehard, and I still am. Like those are my live and diehards or whatever. What's
your ride or die?
Ride or die. It sounds like live and die. I can't live hard or die hard. I'm thinking
live or die.
Bruce Willis's worst Die Hard movie is like going through my head. Oh, and speaking of that sidetrack, it was so funny because Derek was like saying, "Hey, we had like an Oscars event at the shop the other night at his Rooster."
And then the Rooster.
I was like, really, how did that go? He's like, it wasn't, the attendance wasn't good. I was like, well, it's because the Oscars are next week. He's like, no, we had the event. I'm like, but the Oscars are next week. And he's like, oh.
How did they not know? Did they not have it on TV?
Derek
was like dressed up and stuff.
Yeah, Derek, it's on Sunday night.
Was it like a pre?
No, there was nothing.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
It made me so happy. Derek wasn't there that night, so I blame the team that was there. I think it's just hilarious.
I think it's fantastic.
There was no red carpet time.
Like we're just gonna dress up and drink wine.
Wrong night.
Oops. Yeah.
Check your TV guide, ladies and gentlemen.
Dress rehearsal.
No, but anyway, yeah, it's like that's what we do. I've changed over time. Like I've grown like and I will live or die. Like I tell people this all the time when they come in. They have a certain budget. Squire Classic Vibe is awesome. One of the greatest guitars.
It's true.
On the earth, and the IP is sound. It's there. It's a wonderful playing guitar. I say when people are like, oh, like do I have to spend this? I'm like, spend a little bit more on the amp.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. Like, if we're in that $1,000 budget, like if you can just pinch a little bit higher to get like maybe enter a tube amp. And I don't even care what company's making that tube amp half the time. It's like, as long as it's like a decent-ish, and then, but maybe a great, some of those Fender, like digital ones are great too. Like the Champ 50 XL is amazing.
That's a really good amp.
Amazing
like
amp.
that's actually a really fun amp to play.
The LT25 is like a fun amp, but that Champ 50 XL is just like good sounding.
I could do a gig with that.
Gig with it in a heartbeat.
And it sounds like we're gonna actually have tubes going forward. They may be way more expensive.
Yeah, they're gonna be more expensive, but we'll have tubes again. It's
because there's at least one German and one American factory that looks like they're.
And we're not gonna do a whole video on it because we don't really care.
Because everyone else is done.
It's like it's out there. We like to do videos that are fun to us or anger a large group of the population for no reason at all.
Those are the only two things we consider.
Just things that we'll be talking about. It's like, well, and our wives like, what's going on? It's like, nothing. Can't tell you. This population's angry because we don't like this type of hat they wear.
What makes me happy, is like sometimes when we make these videos that anger people that we maybe don't even foresee angering people. I love that some of the people that watch feel like they know us and they'll message us, and even if they don't necessarily agree with what we said, they're like, I love you guys. And I got a few of those messages. And I didn't even know anything was happening. They're like, oh, there's some comments on your thing.
That's actually really helpful. It is helpful because like we can't read every comment. We try to get to them all and then try to respond, but there's too many at some point.
It's too much.
And then
if this is all we did,
we're not just like this is.
But
we're in the guitar shop most of the day, slaving away talking about guitars. No, but it's fun. Like, thank you for everyone out there that does watch and subscribe, and thank you just for sharing your thoughts, even if it's contrary with us. Like, I appreciate that as much as I do. Like, hey, thumbs up. No, the thumbs up is better. Never mind. I like nice things better. But no, but we do, like, if it's constructive and positive, because like we tend to think everything we say, we try to carry it with positivity across the channel. Even if it's something we disagree with strongly, we admit where we're wrong with things and our fallibility and our complicity in certain things, and then we also like to be quite frank and honest. And sometimes we are wrong, but usually we're just adequately intelligent enough to get through.
Just barely. Just like high school.
I love you this much.
Just like high
That's
school.
what I tell my kids every day. I love you this much.
I love you just enough.
Just enough to not get rid of you with the bathwater. That's all. I mean, click subscribe. Again, like, tune into our Instagram and our Facebooks as well, because we are going to be doing a live Q&A with Carlos next week. We're going to have him in store. He's coming all the way from California just to see us and do some stuff with his new guitars, Castadosa line. Check them online. They're awesome baritones. Really cool, really unique things. And if you're not in that line, check out that Squire Classic Vibes as well.
There you go.
Amazing guitars.
Click the bell. Don't forget all the things. We will see you next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Goodbye.
Do you really want it? Do you really want to taste it? Peacemaker.